the Italian language. One of our posters, one of the major elements in our exhibit is a poster which says, "Don't speak the enemy's language," and there are pictures of Tojo and Hitler and Mussolini saying, "We must destroy democracy." Yeah. Don't speak the enemy's language, speak American. Okay, yeah. That had a chilling effect on the Italian language, and I think I felt it myself. I know that I never really learned how to speak Italian fluently. Right. And there was also a chill on Italian-American organizations because many of the people who were the heads of those organizations were either under restriction or were interned. The Italian journalists of the Italian-American newspapers, many of them were interned. So there was generally just a chill on maintaining that culture. Right. So to me, that was a watershed moment. It really impelled the Italian community to have to make the decision. Okay, we now have to decide, are we going to be Italian or Italian-American, or are we going to be American? And in those days, there was sort of no middle ground. You couldn't be American and still say, well, I still like to maintain my ties, as you can today. And in fact, today, people are encouraged to maintain those ties. Right. In those days, it was, okay, you got to choose now. You're either going to be American or you're going to be Italian. And most Italian-Americans opted to be American. And I think there was a tremendous loss there.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me to the other point is, there's been a lot of debate about the show The Sopranos on television. Mm-hmm. What, in your assessment, has there been damage to the image of Italian-Americans? I mean, we're kind of just getting over the whole thing with The Godfather, and then we get reminded on a weekly basis of Tony Soprano, a mobster living in New Jersey. I mean, was there anything noticeable that came from that? Were any of these claims that, you know, hey, it's bad for the image and we're trying to get away from that?
Well, absolutely. I think you said it very well. That is, the difference between The Godfather, which is a great movie, sure, all other things aside, sure, it is a very good movie. The difference between that and The Sopranos is that The Sopranos is on every week. And it keeps being repeated, okay, and repeated and repeated. Yeah. What is the most really horrendous part of this story to me, the Soprano story, is not so much that America seems to be in love with that series, right, and it's a pretty well done series, I have to admit. Yeah, it's not so much that America is in love with it. There are Italian Americans who are learning about their own heritage through that movie, through that television series. That to me is really depressing. Because what that means is even the Italian-American community has lost its own sense of who it is and its own sense of its history, and it's learning about it through mafia stories. Right. That's really damaging.
Yeah, and there's a lot more. And there's a lot more to Italian culture. I mean, it seems to be so popular, but a lot of it seems to emanate from Italy.
Well, exactly. One of my real passions is to convince Italian Americans that, you know, America can love Italy as much as it wants and take vacations there and tour there and, right, and you know, talk about how how they wish they were born in Italy, and still have contempt for Italian Americans. Right. And I think that's the situation. Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that Italy is the major tourist destination in the world doesn't really help, right, Italian Americans all that much.
Yeah. Do you think there's still a problem today? I mean, is there contempt? Do you think there continues to be some kind of racial prejudice undercurrent that goes on?
Well, I think it's a lot of misunderstanding, and I think the way I would put it is that Italian Americans are still judged by stereotypes. Okay, so Americans are fed a constant diet of stereotypical images of Italians in commercials.
You mean
the Olive Garden?
Oh,
okay. So it's Italians love food, and
right,
Italians are
family,
criminals,
right,
and Italians love their families, and they wear black dresses, and
right,
well, there's a lot more to Italian American culture. And in fact, one of the books that I've edited and put together is a book called The Big Book of Italian American Culture.
Right. You have that with you?
Yeah, it's I have it right here.
Take a look
at that. And what I've done with this particular book, there are about 150 portraits of Italian Americans in all kinds of different fields, including scientific fields. There are some major scientific figures in the United States, including who worked on the Manhattan Project, blocking out Enrico Fermi,
from Chicago.
Emilio Segre, who was up at UC Berkeley, and there are many more. Italians in this country have excelled in all kinds of fields, but essentially what we are tagged with always is, well, yes, I guess they can sing, and I guess they can. I guess they're not too bad in movies, and they're certainly great criminals, but aside from that, not much.
Right.
And Richard Nixon's famous phrase when he was talking about when he was taped during the Watergate was, yeah, Italians, they're great, but you can't trust them. Okay.
Well, I think Roosevelt said Italians he wasn't worried about them; they were opera singers.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was sort of a backhanded compliment. On the one hand, you say, yes, Roosevelt didn't think Italians were very dangerous, and so why were they restricted?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when Francis Biddle, as Attorney General, asked him about what we were going to do, Roosevelt said, well, I'm not worried so much about the Italians. There are a lot of opera singers.
Right.
What's really ironic is that one of the great opera singers was, in fact, almost interned, Ezio Pinza.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, the thing is, I guess the lesson here is that, we've been through this in our history, and I hope as we move forward with we're under the shadow of terrorism now, and I just hope that we don't continue to make the same mistakes that we've made in the past. The Patriot Act is kind of a scary act, and if anyone's read it, I think I don't know if you've had a chance to look through it.
Oh yeah, I've looked at a lot of those provisions.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Congress just voted on one today and almost passed a provision stopping them from checking bookstore records and library records, which I think would have been very important. They weren't able to do it. It was a 210 vote tie. But yeah, that's one of the things that I think we've got. The more that this story comes out, I hope, the more people are going to realize that a lot of people get hurt when this happens.
Okay.
And it's not only enemy aliens. Once you focus on enemy aliens, the next thing is that citizens are going to be affected, and that's exactly what happened during World War II.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating discussion. We're out of time. I want to thank my guest, Lawrence DiStasi, for joining me today. I want to thank also my wonderful volunteer crew. Otherwise, this show could not be done. And I want to thank KMVT for the use of their facilities. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Everything's gonna be alright. Things are gonna be easier. Everything's gonna be alright. Things are gonna be easier. Everything's gonna be alright. Things are gonna be easier. Everything's gonna be alright. Things are gonna be easier. 悲しいから歌うと思ってた。流れ星を指す指が声が君の声が何かを願う少しでも思いが届けばもう少しは一緒にいれたかな俺がもっとうまく言えたなら